Welcome to another Drag Race recap series. Just what you needed. There's not enough on the internet, there's not enough on YouTube, there's not enough podcasts talking about Drag Race. And so let's add my voice to the mix too. I love drag queens, I love drag kings, I love gender bending drag, I love all forms of drag. And on a separate note, I love Drag Race because I think that they are two separate things we should talk about, right? Drag Race is a show, a competitive show about drag, specifically drag queens, and then there's also the art form known as drag. I've been watching Drag Race in season 2, and I'm finally doing a recap series. It's our sports, season 17. We're on episode 4. 4 already. I can't believe it's already been 4 episodes. So if you don't know, here's how it goes. I'm going to talk about the runways. I'm going to talk about the challenge. I'm going to give you a minute of my erroneous thoughts. And then after a minute of my erroneous thoughts, we'll break down the lip sync, we'll break down who did well, who didn't do well, and a little bit of Untucked as well. Because if you don't know, if you're not watching Untucked, you're only getting half the story. Also, just a side note, I wanted to kind of talk about my shirt. It's an F, a G, if you kind of could read between the lines. But the middle, if you don't know, is a upside down pink triangle. And if you're unaware of the history of the upside down pink triangle, but during Nazi Germany and the Holocaust, they would give gay individuals, queer individuals, half of the Star of David. So the upside down pink triangle meant this was a queer individual that was in the concentration camps. So I thought it was fitting for this week, the things kind of going through, to wear this with pride. I believe that we should take back the things that are oppressed upon us and wear them with pride. So let's talk about this runway. The runway theme, the brief, is quilted for your pleasure. So essentially a look that's made out of quilts or looks like a quilt or has that feeling of a quilt. Here's how it works. There is nothing but love on my channel. This is not about the queen themselves. This is about the look. I'm not going to hate on anything. I'm just going to say if something is for me or if it's not for me. Let's find out. If I feel like they did not meet the brief, it's automatically not for me. It's about the brief. That's what I want you to execute. I want to see your personality, see your drag through the lens of this brief. That's the point. So if you didn't even hit the brief, it's going to be a not for me. Starting out, Lydia Butthole Collins. This is quilted. This feels like a big blanket for sure. It's very big. And it definitely shows me like her point of view in drag, I think. This is not for me. It's not piercing my soul about how great it is. So it's just going to be a not for me. Next, Lana Geray. Lana Geray, such a beautiful queen. And I really expected more high fashion from her, like a lot more fashion. And this is just going to be fashion. Fashion. Obviously, she's beautiful. Also, I see that there is quilts in it. Kinda. Is there a quilt? I don't see quilts, so it's not for me to begin with. First off the bat, not for me. This doesn't fire my soul up about drag and go, ooh, love that. So, not for me. Joe L. The iconic look queen from LA, the premier Asian drag queen from LA. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a blanket. It's a quilt, and she really tried with that RuPaul face in the back, right? But not for me. Who is this for? I saw a meme today that was like, if this was in the club, we'd all be going off. But this isn't the club. RuPaul's Drag Race Runway. That's what we're grading about, like what you're presenting on the runway for the world. And you decide to be a big like quilt. I don't even know if she's doing it maybe with sticks. Not for me. Not girl. We need blanket. We don't need blanket. We don't need blanket. We just need the idea of quilt. Arietti. Now, this is not quilt to me. I don't really get quilt from it. I see fabric. That is the kind of could be a quilt, but that's like the first thing I'm thinking. Don't see quilt. Not for me. Obviously, she looks awesome. She's really cool looking. I love her makeup. I can't believe the way she was critiqued on the runway, that she needs to change it up because other people are changing it up. And I don't know. That just to me felt really weird. And I get it. Like maybe you need to challenge yourself to go outside the box, but I really don't see them challenging other kinds of queens to do different kinds of makeup. But they just like specifically go for people who have a specific type of makeup that they do for them. I don't really agree with that, but definitely not for me. This look is not for me in the sense of the brief, but she looks awesome and it's well done. She's got a cool sense of fashion. Jewels sparkles. Now, here's my thing about it. I see the threads that are giving quilt, but it's so dark looking that you don't really get it on the runway. Anything that's dark or close to black, very hard to see. Very hard to see. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's quilt. It's very kind of giving quilt, right? But it's quilt. I'll say that. So I'll still grade it in and for me, not for me. For me, I think it's a great look. It's better than some of her other looks, and she's a beautiful queen, and I've liked a lot of her looks. But yeah, so for me, I just wish it was more quilt like her Mona Lisa. Well, it's quilt. It's a big, big quilt, and it's Pacelli. It's pretty. She looks pretty. I just didn't think she'd give looks, so I'm kind of grading almost on a curve. Like, did not expect these kinds of looks. Okay, it's well done. This is good. This drag is not for me. This not her drag altogether, but this drag is not for me. Not for me. Crystal Envy. Let me start with this. I said last week, she's not my kind of queen. Like I don't really get her point of view, her perspective, and she just feels like a queen who just does drag without a point of view to me. But this look, oh my lord, so good. So what in the minute she turned the corner, I was like, whoa, I'm loving it. I'm loving a Crystal Envy look. So, and then and it's quilted, but it's beautiful and it's still bulk big, but the bulkiness, like it's done in the right way, it's tight in the right way, it's great. And then when she took it off and she looked sexy, and I was like, okay, so just a cat suit. But then you look at the detail of it and it's still quilted little areas. Well done. Just so good. And the red, the tie-in red, that was great with the red hair, but then like the red at the trim, and then she has a whole red bodysuit. Love it. For me. Susie Toot. I guess I can see how it's quilted. It's patterns of quilts, right? It's like a blocky shirt quilt. And she looks pretty, and it's just not for me, this look. It just feels very basic, but still has a point of view. And I love that about it. She'll always have a point of view of what the story she's telling on the runway. Just it's not for me. And they went wild over her makeup, and I think it looks like basic makeup. Or missing the part of Susie Toot that I love. Yeah. I know everyone's went off about her makeup, but I think it's actually I related to Trixie Mattel in the way of it's distinct. It is her look. I like that it's this kind of like Charlie Chaplin, Betty Boop thing. Let people be their point of view. I think Michelle needs to get off of her about that. Sam Starr, another queen that's just not my drag. I'm not a pageant kind of drag person. I respect it and I understand where it comes from and the history of it. And I respect all of that. Love that. And love pageants, funny enough. But on Drag Race, just pageant queens typically aren't my thing. But this is so good too. She knocked it out. It's quilt. It's got a really fun that zipper. The pillow. I woke up like this. All of that. Great, great, great. It's for me. I love this look. It's for me. But this is the part, like, it's time for her to stop selling pretty, right? Now it's time for you to do something different. We've seen you do pretty. Why don't they say this to the pretty girls? Not that she was, judged, but that's what I mean. Like, why aren't we selling? Hey, well, I think you need to do a different kind of unique look. In case you forgot, literally the fact that that's her name, because I say all, I mean, we all do, I think. Well, a lot of us do say that, like, I wish I did forget it. I did forget. Like, in case I forgot. And I wish I could forget it because it's fine. It's whatever. It like fits for like a challenge, but for the runway, and maybe her aesthetic is just not for me, but like, because I like the 80s. I'm not a Dolly Parton girl. I'm not a country girl, but it's just not for me, this look. And it's quilts, I guess. Yeah, sure. So, but not for me. The look is not for me. On ya nerve. I love Anya Nerve. I love Anya Nerve. Even her looks, some of them are not the best, but the way she sells them are just so great. And I'm like, shouldn't I be liking this? Because she's like selling it, like her first runway look. I did not like it, but I felt like I should be because the way she presents on that stage, all charisma, she's got the nerve. She's unique to me, and she definitely has talent. So for me, crown her. But let's just talk about this look specifically. Look at it's quilt. Yeah, I see the quilt and I love the culture reference. The visual is just a pretty dress, but she sells it and it makes me like go, oh man, this may be one of the best looks on the stage. But there's not much to it. But it's for me, obviously. For me. Very for me. Very for me. Lexi Love. Oh, so good. One of my favorite looks. But is it quilt? She turned around and I was like, okay, I got some stitchings. We need to make those stitchings bigger. I feel like they need to be fluffier to really read quilt. And it didn't feel like it was quilt to me, but the turnaround, I think she needed to sell the quilt more. But the look is so good. I'm going for me. For me. Corey King, not for me. I love Corey King. I'm rooting for you, Corey. We're all rooting for you. But this look, not for me. Doesn't really read quilt. I didn't know what it was for me, but then Rue said it about the yeah, she needs something bigger on her head. I didn't even think about it, but I was like, she looks weird. Like, what's going on? It looks like and I love her body. I love the proportion she does to her body. It just feels like there's always something kind of missing from Corey King's looks. Either it's on the bottom or it's on the top now. So not for me. And that is the runway. So I would say my top look, can't believe it, but Crystal Envy. I mean, I can't believe it because it's awesome, but can't believe I'm actually saying that. Yeah, the one that is for me, Crystal Envy. Now, not, absolutely not for me, is Joella this week. Absolutely not. Fun runway brief. Let's go over the challenge. So the challenge was they were doing kind of this PSA throwback, like now that's what I call music, using old Drag Race catchphrases or moments in Drag Race and making them songs. And then they recorded their own voice, how to do their own little selling point commercial. Sorry, not PSA, but commercial for their song on the CD. I'm gonna do just like I did for the runway, where they were for me or not for me when it comes to what was needed, right? It's pretty much always we need laughs, pretty much. So if it didn't provide laughs for me in regards to RuPaul, then it's gonna be a not for me. And then if you did what needed to be done. Lana Jarre and Lydia Butthole Collins were paired together. Anyone that's kind of paired together, it's like it could be a good thing or a bad thing because you're going to be compared to the other person, and you have to really work well together. And they didn't do much. For me, both of them is a not for me. They didn't make me laugh. They really didn't have chemistry together. There was no really understanding of the story fully. Like I kind of get it, coincide, but they also kind of were set up like that song doesn't do much itself. Joella, not for me. Not for me. Again, gospel's probably not a thing that she does. It's a hard sell. I think I would have a hard time with that. So I feel bad for her. The challenge though then is like then make it your own. If you're not a gospel person, how does Joella do gospel? And I don't think she met that challenge. Then it's the Arietti and Jules Sparkles. And again, if you're put together, you're going to be pitted against each other. It's very rare that they put a duo like together in a top kind of position. So to me, Jules sparkled. But Arietti also did well. Like, she probably didn't do as well, but she definitely did better than the first three I just talked about. She just was up against Jules, who was killing it. But they both were good. They are both for me. Hormona Lisa, surprisingly for me, it was like the first time that I kind of understood Hormona Lisa's perspective, like her POV, her humor, and it really shined through. So definitely for me. Now, Crystal Envy, they were like going off about it, but really, she had like production, which was great, but like I was kind of watching everyone else besides her, unless they like took the like zoom in and showed her, and it was like fine. And I'm gonna say it's a for me. She did great, but it wasn't like that's for me, you know. It's just for me. That's volume one. Now, volume two. This is the second group. Susie Toot, for me. Loved it. Again, a girl that just could be by herself. I mean, she had one partner where she, like, I think it was Lexi Love, where she threw the guitar down. But besides that, she was just her and some rock music. And she really, this is it. Like, I don't know if she's a rock and roll girl. Sure, she's like a unique left of center kind of girl, but she's not a rocker. And she puts the Susie Toot into whatever she is doing. So for me. Then there was Acacia Forgot and Sam Star. Now, I really thought they were going to pit them against each other because Sam Star was shining a bit brighter than Acacia. But to be honest, they both weren't doing it. And I think, again, it was a thing of they were kind of set up in a way of like, they are two Wonder Bread white girls, right? And they're doing this kind of more Latin flavor thing. So I feel like they were kind of set up with that. Like, that's a hard thing to do. So I get why they went to tango because what else are you going to kind of do without being like culturally insensitive? But still, both of them were not for me. Anya Nerve, I think we all know, for me, this is my kind of drag. Love Anya Nerve. She really knows how to sell stuff. She's also funny on top of it. And sure, she's a great voice on top of it. I don't think you need to have a great voice for these things, but it just helps, right? So for me, she did awesome. She drew me in. I like that she didn't try to add any kind of like side gimmicks. There was no gimmick to it. It was just her for me. Lexi Love, they were like setting her up. I thought that she was going to be in the bottom because she's starting to reveal some of her story. But now I kind of feel like they're doing like the slow drive story with her to get her to the end. And I love that. I love Lexi Love. I think that she's definitely going to be at the top at the ending of this. She was great. I thought she should be in the top. I really thought she was better than Crystal Envy. And Crystal Envy was good. I'm not trying to, and she deserved to be up there for her look alone. But Lexi Love to me really made me actually laugh out loud and had like a whole this is your moment. She this is her moment. Great. I liked it a lot. I'm surprised she was just safe. And then Corey King came. Corey, it was just too much. You're trying to do all the things and it's way too much. And I love you. I'm rooting for you. And it was just not good. I don't even know what happened. But they were right. They said it like, what did you revealed one thing to the next thing and it was the same thing, essentially. It just felt like too much. Is not for me, and I feel bad saying that, but not for me. And she was one of the girls I thought would do well. Thankfully, I didn't put her in my top two. She was like the third, the next one. I thought she was someone to look out for, but she was someone to not look out for when it came down to it. So out of the challenge, I would say in volume one, I would pick Hormona Lisa. I'm surprised she wasn't at the top for the challenge. But Crystal Envy was good. And then volume two, I'd pick Anya Nerve for sure. And now it's time for erroneous thoughts. My name is Aaron, and it's just going to be erroneous thoughts that I had about the episode. Now, I do have notes, and I'll be reading off of them just because I want to make sure I hit everything, but I only have 1 minute. So I don't know if I'll even get to everything because it just gets too long, I think, some of these recaps. So I really wanted to be succinct, but the things that were important to me to say. Now, it's a long list, but let's see how I do if I can get it all in a minute. 3, 2, 1. To begin, the tears and Joella and the fact that she was like, why does everyone care about me? Loved that. Oh, and Corey should run with that cheap, cheap girl. You should put that on shirts and stuff. I don't even know who this guest judge is. Like, literally, someone tell me in the comments. And not that shake and go head that she has on her hair. That was great. Does it just even Crystal I feel like just has natural stank face. I know that she like has work done, but I just her face. I never know how she's actually feeling. It's always just stink face. Um, this is a weird challenge. I wish it was like just like a PSA, like they did in season 4, and do it for new RuPaul songs that we haven't seen done yet. I think that'd be a great one. Do it, please. Put that in there. And I miss team captains. Let's put team captains back, not just Crystal Envy taking over as team captain. Oh my gosh. And I also just I'm so over this makeup thing. Like the fact that Michelle want to say like I would never change who you want to change who you are. Girl, that was your whole thing for like years, and you're allowed to change and grow. But come on now, that was a lot. Oh, I was 10 seconds over. Oh my gosh, there's so much I missed. This was too long. You gotta pretty much. The one thing I would say is that add to it real quick is when they cut to Crystal Envy when Anya won. I was so happy when Anya won, and they showed Crystal Envy like it wasn't as good as Jan's, but it was still like frozen, not happy. I'm sure she was actually really applauding at the moment, but the one that they went to was awesome. Loved that moment. And so we find out that the top queens were Crystal Envy, Anya Nerve, and Susie Toot, which my two queens to look out for were Anya Nerve and Susie Toot. I knew thought they'd be a top two in the top two for sure. And then the bottom three, I was completely wrong. I thought Crystal Envy would be in the bottom this week in regards to like a comedy challenge. But she was in the top. I'm glad she was. She was good, but I'm just saying I thought last week I thought that she wouldn't be. And Casey was safe, but she should have been at the bottom. I think I'm still right about that. I probably would exchange Arietti for Acacia for sure. Arietti did not deserve to be in the bottom. That was wild of them. And they came for her makeup. And I love Susie too, but she did try something, but her face wasn't like, oh my God, mind blowing. It was just pretty. It was good. It's basic, pretty face. When Arietti's doing that to her face, and you want to tell her to do beautiful, you know she probably can do beautiful over that. And I'm not even like an Arietti stan, and I'm upset. Now we've come to my favorite part in the whole entire show. I love lip syncs. Just in real life, I love to lip sync. And so this is the lip sync for your life has always been my favorite portion. I think it's most of ours. So I'm not like thinking I'm special because I think that no. I think we all love them, right? So yes buttons. Love the song choices this year. Just so good. All over the place. Not just in one specific genre. Well, I mean pop, but not in one specific time of genre, right? We're all over the place. We've had like 90s, had some 80s, had some 2000s. We've had today's, like everybody, everything. And when Joella had that blanket on, I was like, she better have on a ready to do so. Throwback Silky Ganache. Well, I was ready to do so. She did have on a ready to do so. That didn't look ready to do so. Let's just say that, right? But there was something on underneath that blanket. Thankfully, she did not know her words at all. How do you not? Even though Snoop rap is so easy, if you're not a rap girl, like it's an easy rap. You can get that. When she was in Untouched, just sitting there crying, which I get, but like in her emotions, as Joella does, I'm like, girl, stop crying and get on your freaking headphones and you learn this. And she tried though with that RuPaul bit. Also, they miss it's called Buttons, which is about sex and buttoning things. They could have been on that blanket. There's that big blanket. I was like, y'all, I'm missing a moment. Use that blanket. That'd have been hilarious. Corey ate her up though. Ate. But it was not sexy. Oh, this is a sexy song. And no one was getting sexy with it. They were just trying to do tricks. And I get that your adrenaline's probably pumping and you have a lot of energy and it gets erratic. But to me, it was not sexy. I wouldn't be giving my dollar. I would just be like, good job. Which queen we should look out for. Like they're gonna do so well. I'm looking out on them. They're gonna be great. And then queens that we should look out for. Like look away, stay away. And so next week, the next week is RDR Live. We're really trying to make that happen, I guess. Comedy. This is hard because I want to do Anya Nerve and Susie Toot again. Because I think that would be great. But I don't see them doing them two in a row like that. So maybe I throw in Alexi Love. Oh, I just want to give up on my girl Anya. But I really think Susie Toot will do well. But there might be a thing where like, ooh, someone we didn't expect surprises us, right? Like a Sam Star comes through and is actually a funny girl, like pageant girls happen, like the Kennedy Davenports, right? I think that Anya will be like a safe high, right? But not in the top. So I'm gonna do Susie Toot and Lexi Love. Those are my lookout for them. They're gonna do great. And then the ones to look out for, I'm sticking with the Casey. I forgot, y'all. I'm sticking with her. I think that this is she's got low energy, and this is like probably improvised and have to be on top of your head, like going. So I think her and I think Lana Geray. Look out for those two. And then I'm gonna tell you who I think, if I had to say it right now, who the top 4 queens would be. Not necessarily the queens that are for me, but the ones that I think that they are gearing up for that long haul. And I think definitely Susie Toot. I think we all know that, right? I think of Susie Toot. I think Alexi Love. I think they're really gearing her up for that. I believe a Sam Star. I think that they're going to have a pageanty queen. And I'm really hoping it's Anya Nerve on the 4th. And I think they are. But I'm nervous that Anya is going to get in her own way with her. She gets in her head sometimes, it looks like. And the girls kind of get in her head. So I'm really hoping. So those are, I think, the top 4, if I had to call it right now on episode 4. Well, I hope you enjoyed another Drag Race recap series. I'm going to keep on doing it. So if you like this kind of content, like, comment, subscribe. On my page, I do dance videos as well and review music. Right now, I'm doing every single Oscar nominated film this year. I'm watching every single one, reviewing every single one. So if that's your kind of thing, subscribe. Like it, comment. It helps. If you don't know, it helps my page. Happy Drag Race.